Yo guys, this is Nate. I'm back with another audio commentary for WCReplays.com. And unfortunately, I haven't been around to play much lately, but fortunately I've found a game I think you guys will like quite a bit. And this kind of stuff has been happening to me quite a bit recently in ladder when I was playing. The matchup is Undead versus Human, and this is where the Human really gets aggressive and really succeeds in it. So let's go ahead and get this replay opened up. So the map is Lost Temple. Players are I Am Jin, who I believe is currently level 21 on Lordaeron, versus Shriek, who is currently level 26, I believe. So let's pause this game at 15 seconds on 1x speed, Fog of War off, under either player's vision. Hopefully you guys have reached the 15-second mark. If you have not already, then pause the commentary and go get there. So let's unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. And let me also apologize in advance if I get interrupted, as I am recording this from my dorm room. Alright, so this game takes place on Lost Temple, obviously. Not really my favorite map because expansion is so easy. I really don't like maps where it's easy to expand because, as I've said numerous times in Frozen Throne, expansion is the most important thing in a game. I mean, if one player has an expansion in the entire game and the other one doesn't, unless there's a vast difference in skill, the one with the expansion is almost always going to win. It's a simple fact, and I'm sure all of you are aware of that. So that's why I pretty much always thumbs down stuff like Lost Temple, because I really dislike the fact that it's very easy. And see, for the Human player, it's very easy to get an expansion up, whereas for the Undead player, it's not quite so easy. Unless he wants to take the expansion that is at like 3 o'clock from his base. So anyway, let's take a look at what he's doing. We got a typical Undead build going here, and this is really why I've been trying to fast expand and go fiends and stuff, because this typical build isn't working as humans who know what they're doing. This matchup is not rigged against the Human. This matchup is in fact rigged against the Undead when the Undead player goes for this kind of thing, I think. So we're seeing Death Knight and Ghouls with early Tomb of Relics, so we're probably going to see some harassment from the Undead player or something. And meanwhile, for the Human, seeing Paladin first, you may think this is very odd, but let me tell you, Paladin first is a very good choice. I would always recommend going either Paladin or Mountain King, and then getting the other one as your second hero. The two of them are so powerful against Undead, because the Paladin helps as both anti-nuke, he can protect the Mountain King and Divine Shield himself, and also very importantly, he can hit the Undead heroes with his Holy Light, which is in effect the same as Coil. And then you throw in the stun from the Mountain King and Clap and maybe Banish, and we're looking at some insane hero nuke. So both players go ahead and creep in their naturals. I expect we'll see some harassment from the Undead player soon, or else he'll go on to creep some powerful stuff. And I'm not sure whether the Human's actually fast expand. I have not watched this replay in advance, but it was on the WC replays database and prepped, and looked like I think it actually had a 10 out of 10 rating. So I figured you guys won't be disappointed by this game. So nice placement of that Arcane Vault there. It's clearly vulnerable, but at the same time the vision. Let's take a look at Shriek and put on his Fog of War, and this is actually really nice in that he can see if units are going to come towards the expo. Now he can't because it's nighttime, but while it was daytime, he could see if units were going to come towards the expo, and that's real nice. Now, doing kind of Undead strategy, sort of, or generally associated with the Undead, with Death Knight and Ghouls, Shriek's going ahead and creeping with Footmen, and he's going to go harass with the Paladin. So, very nifty little move on his part. He's got Boots of Speed, so good stuff for him. And typically you'd see the complete opposite, in that the Human player would be madly creeping and the Undead player would be going to harass while creeping with Ghouls. But nothing wrong with it being going the other way. So clearly the Undead player is just going to tech and mass up Ghouls, and it looks pretty similar for the Human player, really. He's just planning on teching a bit and creeping as much as possible. But that changing around the hero as the first hero is so great. And I just wish somebody would explain to me like why humans insist on always going Archmage first. The fact is, with the current style of play most undead players use, Archmage sucks. I don't really care if you get Water Elemental and the Water Elemental is going to beat the ghouls early on. We're talking tier 3 and we're talking high level hero nuke. The Archmage, if you're not real good at protecting, if you don't use invisibility and potions and all that, if you don't do that, he's absolutely useless. And all the players I seem to play who get them, the Archmage, never really protect him properly. And why even bother with that when you can go Paladin first, which is such an excellent choice against undead. It completely neutralizes the hero nuke, and overall, not to mention, also adds at the higher levels. It does not become obsolete as the game goes on. So when you're looking at a level 5 Archmage versus level 5 Death Knight, you're not looking at an instant kill. You're looking at a level 5 Paladin against a level 5 Death Knight, and that's a big difference. So nice move on the human player's part. He's coming, he's being aggressive, and he's being smart about it. He came a little bit late after that upgrade, but in effect he's just doing his thing. His goal really is to kill acolytes as far as I can see. And this guy's not as aggressive as some of the humans I've played. Some of the humans I've played, they come directly to your base, generally with Archmage actually for that early Water Elemental, and they just attack you, creep camp, come back, and hit you 5 or 6 times before you hit tier 3. And it makes a huge difference. I've also played against undead players who've done that quite a bit with a Lich, and it's hard to deal with. It really is. It messes with your teching. That's what this guy's doing. Lich second for the undead player. Typical choice. However, I don't think it's going to be particularly good against a Paladin first player, since that Lich is typically used for nuking and area of effect, but the Paladin is going to kind of neutralize that nuke a bit, so it's not going to be as useful. And I think maybe a Crypt Lord would have been a better choice for the stun. I mean, let's put it this way, like if your opponent is going Paladin first, don't plan on going for a nuking strategy so much as you would if they went, say, Archmage first. There's a big difference, being able to neutralize your opponent's primary hero and not being able to. So real nice micro on the undead player's part here. He's keeping this stuff alive, and the human doing his best, but he's pretty much overwhelmed. And with the addition of the second hero here, the Lich is going to be very useful. Clearly, nothing going on there. So the undead player has a big advantage at this point, in that he's got that second hero. So now would be a perfect time to try and push into the human's base, not to kill these farms, guys. Like, I've been to this whole stage. I don't know if you watched my commentaries way back when, especially in ROC and stuff. I'd always spend time killing these farms. They're a complete waste of time. Look at Shriek's food. That didn't hurt him one bit, and it just bought him that incredibly important 20 seconds or so. And here he's going after the second farmer, but that 20 seconds or so that he needs to get that Mountain King out. So that's really not a big mistake on the undead's part, but really just so easily avoidable. Like, that's not even micro, that's just knowing not to waste time in this kind of situation. Now the undead player needs to get out. He's probably going to have to waste a TP, and this really doesn't look good. Nice clap on the human player's part. Undead player's screwed right here. He needs to get out right now. You do not... No. See, now this is just stupid. He's losing all his ghouls. That level 3 paladin just kind of bought the human back his advantage that he didn't have before, and that game just completely turned around. All the undead player had to do was just not go into his base there, or just come in earlier, and he would have been able to do a bit more damage. So now undead player doing his best to regain that advantage and go ahead and expand. However, I predict his expansion is going to be caught very quickly. Realistically, it would have been a better move to go creep the natural that's directly across from the human player's base. That is the one I was talking about before, 3 o'clock from the undead player's base, where it's much harder for the human to harass it. So the human has a lot of options at this point, really. He's just gained a big advantage. That Lich is just going to be fodder. I mean, the Lich is essentially the same as Archmage in that he's so easy to nuke. You come in with that bolt, clap, holy light, that Lich is gone. So we'll see how how the undead player deals with that. But the human player at this point, he's going for sorceresses. Not a bad move, clearly, especially because the undead player is sticking at tier 2 to expand. So really good move on the human player's part, actually. He could have also gone for an expansion himself, but I have a feeling he's going to catch this expansion now. Also, you see how many resources the undead player is investing in this expansion, with those ziggurats and everything. Realistically, if it gets caught and taken out, the undead player can't really win this game. I think if he was planning on investing that much, he really should have gone and picked a safer location. That's the worst location he could have chosen, in my opinion, for his expansion. So, human player doing the right thing here. He's being aggressive in a situation the undead player can't deal with him. He's got more powerful heroes, more powerful units, and ultimately the undead player can't really deal with this without something to change the balance a little. Now, unfortunately for the human player, he didn't have Stormbolt, so he couldn't take that out. But nice manual use of slow there. Let's see some more manual slow. Come on. Slow. Okay, not great use of manual slow here, but as an undead player, and I've mentioned this before, and I try not to repeat myself too much between commentaries, but it's absolutely crucial not to run from slow. So if there had been a lot more slow there, I would have actually probably tried to TP out. So good call on the undead player's part, bad call on the human's part in that he got devotion aura instead of whatever the hell that's called. Instead of divine shield. I don't know what he was thinking. So I think that was definitely a bad move, and that he could have ended the game right there if he didn't have to TP out there. So bad move choosing devotion aura, in my opinion. I think it's much more important, especially when you see your opponent going Death Knight Lich. Why the hell would you go? Why would you get devotion aura instead of divine shield? Yeah, sure, it makes your units a bit more durable, but realistically, the ability to keep your primary hero alive, especially against a player who's one of their main targets is to take out your hero, I think that's a much better thing. I don't mean to be criticizing him too much, but that would have made quite a difference already. So human player doing the right thing here again. He let the expo go up. I'm sure he's aware of it or something. He's going ahead and expanding himself. And until that undead player hits tier 3, there's nothing he can really do to fight the human one-on-one because of slow. So good move to get that expansion up. This was about as late as he could get it up before he'd really be at risk. Now, the human player is also not really being too aggressive. He really could have been a lot more aggressive if he'd gotten that divine shield. But and this isn't really the best example of a human player being really aggressive. But again, against an undead player who just tries to tech straight to tier 3 and just mass ghouls and try hero, that just gets slaughtered when the human plays aggressively. So to all you humans who are having trouble with undeads that go right to mass destroyers or something, you don't have to let them get there. It's very easy to walk into the undead split base when you have slow and they don't have destroyers, and to just mess with them and kill 3, 4, 5 acolytes and TP out. That makes all the difference in the world if they're teching. And I mean, the best way to do this is just to scout your opponent and not to let them do whatever they want the whole game. I mean, so much of this game is scouting, and so few people. I mean, I don't scout myself, and I talk about it all the time. But scouting is so important, guys. What can I say? Now, clearly, the big problem with the human player's army is that he doesn't really have great meat. But the great advantage of it is that he can focus. I mean, he can slow a hero, focus it with all his riflemen, bolt, clap, and holy light it, and that hero's gone. And that's going to make confrontations very hard for the undead player. Let's see, he's got a breaker going out at this point. Looks like he's making another. So, good call in that he's going to have some meat. Bad call in that I don't see why he feels he needs magic immune units, and especially ones that are going to lose very quickly to ghouls. But I think Knights would have been a much better choice. I played this player the other day. He was only level 10 or so. And yeah, all you were like, oh my god, Nate, level 22, lost to a level 10, what the hell's going on? But something he did that I never see human players do is he got Knights. And because I was lazy and kept A-clicking, I mean, I admit I was not microing my best or anything, but because he got Knights, the you know, it gave him a lot more meat. 2-3 knights made a big difference. So here we go. Clearly, the undead player is just getting massacred. Nothing he can do to keep his stuff alive. Good call on the breakers now, and that the undead player is so much AoE, but now the game is definitely over. There's really no way I can see the undead player coming back from this. And as you can see, all the heroes are very low, and that's the power of the anti-nuke, really. So human player now going to tier 3. Good move, clearly. But the undead player's critical mistake in that battle, if you guys didn't see it, was he tried to kill the Mountain King. And again, I don't like to over-criticize people, and I know I'm quite lenient on myself at times, but never, ever try and kill a level 3 Mountain King, or whatever the hell he was, when you're looking at level 2 Holy Light backing him up and you're trying to kill him with ghouls. Not to mention there's a lightning shield on him. It seems like it's not a lot, but that 100% cost him that battle. Undoubtedly, and he could have potentially won that battle if he hadn't done that. He had Frenzy. He could have done a lot more damage. So I can just tell you right there, that was his absolutely big, crucial mistake that lost him probably this game. And again, the undead player is wasting his time killing this farm. I mean, and not only is he just killing the farm and wasting time, it's not like the human player is creeping anything. He just gave the human player 10 seconds to come home and defend himself. He let him know where he is exactly, and he would have known anyway, but most importantly is that he's just letting the human player buy time, really. Really sucks. It's not good plan on his part. He's probably going to lose this Lich. Let's see, some manual slow here, maybe. Alright, well. Alright, so undead player's main key thing that he wants to do here is just get rid of the slow and get the ghouls to massacre the riflemen. He's doing a pretty good job not focusing on the heroes, which is finally doing the right thing here. Bad placement of that skeleton book thingamajigger. The best thing to do is move your hero in among ranged units and then pop that, or a hero, and you can actually surround heroes with it. It's pretty cool. But definitely good play from the undead player, except now, whoa, what are you doing? You're focusing the Mountain King. He's got lightning shield. You're just losing shit all over the place. What the hell are you thinking? Luckily for him, he backed off a bit, but the last thing he should be doing here, never ever when you're up against this kind of thing as the undead player, never focus the heroes, always go after the units. And the best thing that the human player can do, or undead rather, is to take out that expansion. So real nice play on the human player's part in that he's really bad in that he lost those units, really good in that he's getting the undead player to somehow hang around and try and kill this Mountain King while he just keeps losing tons and tons of units. And I wish he'd gotten Divine Shield, because then he could stop wasting these TPs. So the undead player pretty much won that battle due to lack of meat on the human's part. He took real good advantage of the fact that slow isn't auto-cast against moving units, it's auto-cast against attacking units. So what that means is that as the undead player, if you M-click into the rifleman, slow will not be cast unless the human manually casts it. And if you A-click, slow will be. So what he did was M-click in, so he didn't get slow cast all over him. So good play on his part, and you know, then he had destroyers and everything. And yeah, I'm not really sure what the human was doing. I think he went after the Death Knight or whatever. But so anyway, nice choice to switch over to A-bombs here. Now it really looks like the undead player is coming back in this game. I'm telling you, not getting Divine Shield is really costing this human player. Okay, now he got it. Good, finally. And there we go. So let's take a look at what each player really has going for him at this point. The undead player seems to have a very big advantage. He's got tri-hero versus dual hero. He's got destroyers and A-bombs and frenzied ghouls. Looking pretty good for him. Now I don't know. Let's see. Please tell me he has some healing scrolls. That's the big thing I see missing here. Is I don't see any healing scrolls to the undead player. You can't fight against the Mountain King without healing scrolls, but he surely gets some. I guess he's going for a TP instead. And the human player now, seeing he's at a disadvantage, So he's going to go ahead and go Griffins, and also a good move really. Bad in that the undead player has destroyer capabilities. Good in that if the undead player doesn't counter quickly enough, it's going to be a big chance for the human to maybe expand again or something. So now at this point, I would really say a nice thing, at least for the human player to do, would just be to go in and start harassing. Send maybe the Mountain King to the expansion and the Paladin to the main base, and just start killing off acolytes or something. He's just sitting in his base when he could pretty safely. I mean, there's nothing an undead player can really do against that Paladin with Divine Shield, so he could pretty safely be harassing the undead player. And I don't know what the undead player is doing. He has a huge advantage right now. The game is over if he would just attack. He sat around for a minute buying that TP, and then went off and just went creeping. And he's already got level 5 on his Death Knight. So, I don't know, I just feel like yelling at him because I don't think it's really good play on his part. Clearly this is a pretty cool, pretty exciting replay, but now you guys can understand why I like to do my own replays more. So finally he's going after the human player's Expo. About time, buddy. Please don't attack that farm. And he's not. He's playing it right for once. So what he's got to do is get a fucking healing scroll so that the Mountain King can't come in, clap 20 ghouls twice and kill them. But I guess he doesn't feel like doing that. So here we go. Blood Mage in the mix now, probably for Banish. So we're just looking at pure nuking on the human player's part. Really nice move there. Bam, that Death Knight goes down. I hope you guys saw how quickly that Death Knight died. We're probably going to see some whining from the human player, I bet you. So he's still going for nuking right now. I really sucks for the undead player because he can't get out of there now. So the human player's plan worked perfectly, and our buddy I Am Jin is in some trouble. So I would say his best bet when you see this mass air combination by human, I pretty much always try and go for mass destroyers. Believe me, I've tried my hands at fiends. I mean, assuming you're starting out with ghouls, I've tried my hands with fiends, and you kind of lose the fiends really fast. It doesn't work very well, especially against Holy Light and Bolt. You're definitely going to lose those fiends. So undead player really had a big chance to come back from this. Gargoyles are a good option when you've got an expansion up on your opponent, because they work to overwhelm your opponent. But yeah, we're only seeing really one Dragon Hawk from him. So a big mass of Gargoyles will be able to beat that, so I guess that's what he's going for. And not a bad call at all. In fact, that's probably his best option, as opposed to going Destroyer, since he probably can't afford it really. But clearly, that's a pretty crazy strategy being pulled off by the human. Instead of the undead nuking the hell out of the human, we're looking at the human nuking the hell out of the undead. So he's being smart now, sending off his Griffin Riders, go scout or harass or something. Good call. The problem here really is that we're looking at magic damage against all this heavy armor on the undead player. I think he really overdid it a bit with Abominations. I don't know if you guys saw way back when I was playing Dimension, Undead vs Night Elf. I pretty much had the game, but he surprised me with Chims, and I hadn't had any guards. Instead, I've just gone mass meat wagons and A-bombs. So this guy kind of did the same thing here, in that he didn't have that anti-air when he needed it. He didn't anticipate it. So, all right. So now, yeah, here goes the battle. I don't know. Bad place to engage on the undead, on the human player's part, since his stuff's in range of the towers. But now he's got him neutralized. But clearly not all his guards are getting killed, so he's got some anti-air. What I would really think would be good for the undead player to do here would be to nuke the flying units of the human player. Sorry, one second. Nuke the flying units. But he's doing a good job taking out the Blood Mage, taking out the Mountain King, taking out all that stuff, and forcing a TP. But he didn't really accomplish much, and he didn't really kill anything in that battle. All he did was all he did was force a TP. Yeah, and the undead player, let's see, he lost Lich and Cryptlord, I believe. So Yeah. So I mean, the undead player is doing a good job of getting anti-air. I don't know why he's getting some fiends. I think that's kind of a waste. I mean, mass Gargs beats mass Dragon Hawk Riders, believe it or not. Dragon Hawk Riders are 3 food, Gargs are 2 food. It's as simple as that. You can have 12 Gargs, he can only have 9 Dragon Hawk Riders. That means 9 of your Gargs get aerial shackled, 3 of them kill a Dragon Rider. Now, by the time they kill enough Dragon Hawk Riders, you would have lost your Gargs, but with the help of the Hero Nuke, Nova, and Coil, you can very easily swing that battle in the undead player's favor. So getting those fiends, I think, is a bad call, in particular because of Bolt and Holy Light. They can just get picked off incredibly easily. Good choice to put the Boots of Speed on the Lich, by the way. That's so good. So at this point, if I were the undead player, I don't know, I would be in a lot of trouble. Again, I'd just be focusing all my efforts on massing anti-air. I don't know why he stopped. I mean, he stopped at 70 food. But, yeah, you can go to 80. So he should be really massing up that anti-air here. And again, I think those fiends are a bad call. Because let me tell you, Griffins, Dragonhawk Riders beat mass fiends in my experience. It's much harder for the undead player to focus fire all those units than it is for the human player to focus fire on the fiends. So I think mass Gargs would have really been a better option. Similar to the way how I prefer to go mass Gargs against Bat Riders and Wyverns rather than going fiends, simply because the micro is very different, and with the help of healing scrolls, it's really not an issue. The Bat Rider's splash damage, and that's really the same for the aerial shackles. Healing scrolls heals aerial shackled Gargs, so if you need to buy yourself 5 more seconds, that healing scroll is perfect. But whatever, we'll see how this works out. More abominations going after the undead player. I think that's a complete mistake. Those are not going to help him in any way. I mean, great, they're going to hurt the heroes, but realistically, the heroes aren't really the. I mean, it's not that hard to back the heroes off from the battle. I don't know. If I were the undead player, I'd just be massing Gargs right now, but whatever. So, the undead player still has no healing scrolls. I'm not really sure why he doesn't buy some. There would have been a much better investment than, say, going into high upkeep. I think just mass Gargs with healing scrolls in every hero would have potentially made a winnable battle for the undead player. But here, we're looking at a much riskier situation. So here we go. Lich goes down instantly, but Web not looking too terrible. And also, I mean, yeah, against human mass air, in my opinion, the best thing to do when you've got cash. It's a very different situation when you don't have cash. But when you have cash like this undead player had, would have been just mass Gargs, 3 healing scrolls, 3 orbs. That would have really messed with the human player. So anyway, clearly the undead player is dominating the ground, but I don't know. It doesn't look like he's really killed much of anything, to be honest. So not a really bad play on either player's part. Good play on both players' parts, I think. But I don't really see the undead getting anywhere here. Oof, this is a long game, isn't it? Alright, so undead should probably add a second statue in there for some mana, but if he doesn't feel like it, whatever. So yeah, good move while the Blood Mage is down. I mean, essentially they traded Blood Mage for Lich. But at least while he's down, it'll be a little bit harder to nuke the undead player. At least he's got a potion of healing on his Death Knight, so it's not going to be quite so easy to nuke. And he should put some pressure on before the. I mean, the longer the undead player lets the human player mass up this air, the more screwed he gets. Also, again, nice placement of the Arcane Vault is that he can buy stuff from downhill. He doesn't have to run up the hill. So what's really great about that is that he can fight at his expansion and while he's fighting there, buy potions and stuff. And at the same time, it's really like it's not vulnerable at all. So that's excellent placement on his part. I would definitely recommend doing that if you're a human player. So here we go, human player guy, Shriek doing his thing. Good move on his part, keep the pressure on the undead player. Big problem here is that we're looking at 2 expos versus 1. So I can see the undead player coming back from this. So despite his not so great whatever, he can simply win because he has an expansion up on the human player. But we will see how this goes. This is definitely quite a game. Also a good move, you'll notice how the undead player at his new expo is placed in Acropolis, so he'll be able to TP in. That's very important, obviously, to preserving his expansion. But again, I really feel like he should be putting healing scrolls on his stuff and orbs. But whatever. Now also the human player has no upgrades on his stuff, but not like he can really afford them. What he needs to do is, right now, the human player needs to stop one of the undead expansions or expand himself or something. And although, yeah, now his expo actually just ran out, so it's a bit more even footing. But if you look at the army difference, look at 56 for Shriek, 75 for I Am Jin. So that looks pretty bad for the human player. That expo definitely is paying off quite a bit. We're looking, he got, how much gold? He got a lot of, he got like 5,000 gold out of that expansion. Not including all that he lost to upkeep though. Alright, so, let's see. Human player's got a TP, he's got TPS, so they're both kind of attacking each other's expos. I'm not really sure why the human's running back. If he's going to defend his expo, he should TP in, so I'm expecting he's not going to defend his expo. And he's probably just going to go right to his main base. Or he could go to his expo. I don't know why he didn't TP. You know, being able to aim your TP wins you games. Because he could have TP'd to the left of it and been out of range of the fiends and just wailed on those abominations. But now the fiends are going to have free reign to web, and that's a problem. So bad macro on the human player's part, I think. So undead player doing a good job here. He's focusing griffins with the nuke. Probably his best bet, really. Not a bad idea also just to nuke the blood mage occasionally with Nova and Coil. What that means also is that if he does that, then the human player is going to have to use Holy Light to heal the blood mage rather than kill the undead heroes. I'm not sure what happened with that TP there. Now something else for the undead player to do at this point, since he's clearly got enough food, or it seems like he does, but he could probably also use some more money, just go to unsummon some of those ziggurats at his expo or something. So this is a pretty crazy game. Now he's finally put an orb on the heroes. What the orbs are going to do, which is really important to understand, the reason they're so good is not just that, I don't know, in my mind, the reason they're so good is not because they're going to, you know, give you extra anti-air, although they are really good as that. I mean, we're looking at essentially 2 fiends in a really powerful hero, you know, hitting faster and reducing armor and stuff. But what you also got to realize is that because of that faster attack and everything, when your hero walks into battle and they hit the air units first, the air units auto-acquire the hero. And that's so good because heroes take reduced damage from magic and piercing attacks, which is both the attacks of the dragon, hawk riders, and the griffins. So you're looking at effectively reducing the damage output of their entire army. And if you're able to heal that hero, say the Crypt Lord is attacking first, you can easily heal it for 600 hit points. That makes a huge difference in terms of micro. So that's why I think it's really good, and I hope you guys were able to make sense of that. Not to mention, of course, the reduced armor and all that is real good. But yeah. So here we go, engaging here. I think this looked good for the undead player, very good really. except that he just lost his Death Knight. If he had been a little more cautious with his Death Knight, he'd clearly have the advantage in this battle. Abominations are actually starting to really take effect. Those upgrades are paying off quite a bit, I think. Bad move to focus on the hero, though, I think. But at the same time, now the Undead player's just getting really screwed because he just lost all 3 heroes due to that crazy-ass try and nuke thing. So right here, I think the Undead player pretty much lost the game. I know that sounds like a bad way to lose it after all that, but quite simply, he needed to keep his heroes alive, and he didn't do it. How could he have kept them alive against the nuke? The same way all those humans have been doing for so long, keeping their stuff against the nuke. Namely, go into battle with not just healing potions, but in particular against this kind of nuke, invisibility potions on all 3 heroes, and go into battle invisible, and and with potions of invulnerability or something. But yeah, nothing he could really do there with what he had. He needed to buy some stuff. Also, just keep the heroes back. I mean, he made it very easy for the human player to focus fire his heroes. They were right in the middle of the whole army. So this is it. Now the human player is really doing the right thing here. Neutralizing the expansions. Go one expansion, go to the next expansion. That means the Undead player is going to have no expansions. And so this is a perfect time for the human player to take advantage of his heroes and go pick off units. Very, very, very easy to just pick off abominations with his 3 heroes. So I don't really see the Undead player coming back from this, unfortunately, for the Undead player. But I guess he's making a last-ditch effort here. He knows where the human player is, so just going ahead and harassing him, I guess. But he does have a TP, so... Now, I don't know what the hell he thinks he's doing going after the Arcane Sanctum. There's really no key targets for the Undead player to go after. None of the buildings for the human really make a difference at this point. I mean, the only way I can see the Undead player coming back from this is if he somehow manages to get an expansion, get his 3 heroes back, keep his heroes alive, and kill any human expansions that go up. Clearly, the Undead player still has a big advantage in terms of army size, and in terms of resources. He's got lots of resources, so he should not be putting pressure on the human. Right here, bam! You saw it coming. Why didn't you TP, man? There we go. Late TP there, but in essence, what I'm saying is that when you're in this kind of monetary advantage situation, when you've got an advantage for the macro. You, the player with the macro advantage, need to go and keep that. That means go expand. A great place would be maybe the island or something, I don't know. And he's doing it now, he's trying to expand. And at the same time, neutralize your opponent's expansions. Don't go after your opponent's anything but their expansions. You know, go creep, go do whatever. But when you want to keep that advantage that you've got, you know, if he's going to... I don't even know how to explain this really, but clearly if he goes and engages the human army, he's going to start losing his heroes. That's not what he wants. He just wants, what he needs is a lot of time to get expansions up and keep them up. And the human player, on the other hand, wants to put as much pressure on the Undead player as possible. He wants to harass him and pick off units as much as possible, stop him expanding. And so the Undead player is kind of playing into his hands by going and attacking him. And there we go, bam, Death Knight goes down. Bam, this Lich is going to be down in like 2 seconds. Just watch. Ready? Are you ready? Oh wow, didn't even get a chance. That stun really messes with you, man. What can I say? Now, the Undead player is doing a real good job of microing everything but his heroes. Doing a real nice job of focus firing the air units, killing them off and stuff. But ultimately, it's not going to matter, I don't think. Anyway. So at this point, the best thing to focus would probably just be the Blood Mage. I mean, I can't see... The Undead Bear can't kill any of these units. As long as that Paladin has mana, none of the heroes are going to die. So the Undead Player should probably just run back to his base, really. I mean, he's playing well in that he's picking off units, and he can afford to, but at the same time, it's not... He's got one actualize that expo. It's not like he's able to replace them very quickly. and this game's basically over. So clearly you can see how great it is going different heroes first. Paladin and Mountain King. As you go on later game, they're not, they're very powerful, extremely powerful, almost overpowered in a sense against undead. Whereas an Archmage at this point would be fairly useless, I think. I mean, great, you've got Brilliance Aura, but he's also very easy to kill. I mean, just look at, you guys can see the difference. You don't need me to tell you that. You guys are smart. So, Undead player trying to get some of these heroes back, but, yeah, he's pretty screwed. What can I say? I mean, that banish is really what makes the big difference. Not only does it make him take 66% more damage, magic damage, I don't know if it increases the stun, but also it just slows the hero in their movement. Once that hero gets banished, it's just gone. And so what I would really suggest is, as the undead player, if you've got decent reflexes, watch your heroes very closely in this situation, and when you get banished, then bam, hit the potion of vulnerability or invisibility really quick, and that's going to save your hero, and that's going to let you win the game in the battle. But this is a very hard situation to deal with. I'm not going to try and say it any other way. This is the way for you human players to just crush undead players. I'm not saying go 40-minute games every time, but I'm saying switch your starting heroes, switch it up, and put pressure on the undead player. Don't just let them tech right to tier 3. Really show them a little trouble. Give them a hard time. Don't let them take advantage of that tech. Once you hit tier 2 and you get that slow, go mess with them. Go hit them. What happened to that, man? It's not old school. That's the way to win. So anyway, human player, at this point, he just needs to finish off the undead player, so whatever he attacks doesn't really matter. There's nothing the undead player can really do. If they engage, the crippler is going to go down in about a second. So good call to go after the altar. Really should have gone after the first, so he's probably going to let the... No, it doesn't even matter, just free experience if the Death Knight gets out. Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh snap. So, I don't know, I don't even really know why the undead player's trying so much. I guess he's hoping he's going to get lucky, but as you can see, there's nothing he can do against that Shrine nuke, really. And he can TP all he wants, but every time he TPs, that's 350 gold down the drain, when he could have just gone to the shop and bought 100 gold instead of a 350 gold potion. So, that's just kind of my recommendation. Come on, man, leave the game's over. You can't kill that level 8 Paladin, no. He's got level 3 Divine Shield. So there we go. This game is pretty much over. Again, I think the undead player would have had a much better chance earlier on if he'd gone guards. He definitely could have won. I think, if he killed off all those air units, he would have been able to focus on killing the human heroes much more, and that would have made his life a lot easier. But as you can see, abominations never really did all that much. There's, the fiends didn't need them to tank, and the abominations did less damage than the fiends would have done to the air. So they didn't really do much of anything, if you ask me. And if he'd gone guards, he could have slaughtered the whole air force of the human player. He made a lot of mistakes, and the human player made mistakes too. And I complain and whine a lot, but hopefully all that complaining and whining has given you guys some new insight into this matchup. I really hope you've enjoyed this, learned a lot, and leave me some feedback, and I'll be back ASAP. See you around.